human capital, looks after the ENPS, the innovation, and customer futures looks after NPS, so on. So it could be much better there.
Yes. Thank you, Lynn. So, buat teman-teman yang bertanya tadi, gimana mengukur mimpi kita sudah mulai tercapai? Jawaban menarik dari Lynn adalah seberapa banyak learning yang sudah kamu dapatkan. How many learnings that you get from the process? That may be a strong indicator that you're getting through your dream, right? Dan kalau diteruskan berarti setelah tim saya sudah belajar banyak nggak sih, walaupun kayaknya mentok nih, dindingnya gede banget, Chinese wall is really big gitu, really long. But if we find a lot of learnings, then we're heading to our dreams. The second part, of course, we measure the customers, our customers, whether they're happy or not, whether they want to promote our innovation or our product to the others. The third part is the employee itself, our team. Do our team is promote by among themselves and friends. And lastly, benefits. Okay, money. Okay, so udah saatnya saya buka ke floor. Ada nggak di floor yang ingin bertanya sama Lynn? Ada yang mau bertanya? Di floor ada yang mau bertanya? Atau sudah cukup? Oh ya, kita punya satu pertanyaan, silakan Mbak. Mohon sebutkan nama, dari mana, langsung bertanya.
Thank you for your inspiring presentation today.
My pleasure.
My name is Nita and actually I'm from Bank Mandiri and I'm really grateful that I'm here today and I have a simple question for you.
Yay!
Yeah, but not your favorite color, of course. You work in an insurance company, so the insurance company see the life cycle of a customer. We have a lot of problems in our lives. So how you prioritize to give a solution for your customer, to develop a product for the customer where the problems of ourselves is too much, I think. That's it, just simple question, thank you.
So let me play that back to you. So how do we prioritize the customer problems that we want to solve?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good question. So we look at magnitude of importance. So we actually we had the same problem, that we didn't have good visibility on what actually mattered to our customers. So we've done a number of things to help answer that question first. So we've done a lot of research and discovery, so speaking to people. We've invested in startups that give us access into new data sets and new insights into people's lives around what's important for them. So for example, financial services companies, so that we can actually see how they spend their money, because that's a very good indication of what actually matters or where people find pressure. We then look at that lens to understand what is keeping people up at night, and then where are the problems where we can usefully help and do something in that space. And so we use those two things together to figure out where to focus or where to look. It's an art, it's not a science. We get it wrong and we're constantly going back and revisiting what we are focusing on. And I think that flexibility and bringing in different sources of data to help answer the question that you asked is really important.
Oke Bu. Oke. Masih ada yang ingin bertanya dari floor? Oke. Oh ya, silakan Bu. Mas Reza, tolong bertanya.
Hi Lynn, my name is Yunita. I am from Telkom Business and Process Management. I'm just want to ask about how do you? It's about funding, right? But the money is not there yet. How do you say the project is enough for for that sense of funding, and there's no future for it.
Okay.
I mean, from the side of the shareholder, they want the what do you call it? They want the money back, right?
Yep. They want
try-
return.
They want return, right? That's it.
Okay.
When it's enough, enough is enough.
Yeah. Eunice, a very good question.
Finance team Lynn. Thank you Mbak Yunita, Mbak Mugi.
Okay, so for our business, our market share is shrinking. So for us to deliver returns in a mature market, we have to be innovating. We have to be entering into adjacencies and winning back customers. That's my situation, which I think your situation is a little bit different. The second piece of that question, which is how do you know whether you should be funding something? We let a little bit of simulated market forces answer that question. So my budget to fund any project or product or new business is tiny, really, really tiny. I can fund a proof of concept. I have enough to fund discovery, but I have to find my first customer, and that also means finding my first funder. And I think that's an important part to make sure that we use market forces to appropriately figure out where we should be spending. Because I either need to be pitching and selling the concept internally to my business stakeholders, externally to another corporate or to the government, which has happened, or direct to market to consumers if I think it can get the traction there. If I can't find funding and appropriate funding through any of those sources, it's not going to go anywhere. So that answers the question, and that helps to give shareholder confidence in the money being efficiently allocated. The other team, that I should mention that we can pitch into as well is we have a corporate venture fund. So once we have the earlier stages of securing our customers an initial funding base, like any other startup, we can also pitch to our CVC because we have that separate structure. And I think that's quite a useful vehicle as well.
Let's get into our discussion. What is the link with the CVC, and whether do you have plan to sell in-house innovation into outsiders?
Yeah, so when it comes to the venturing side, so we have a role in two places, and I think you might find it the same. So you have a role to play when it comes to help the CVC fund figure out the thesis. So what is their investment thesis and the mandate, the areas that they want to invest in, and doing the due diligence on the partners that they should be working with. That's number one. That's where you first add your value. The second thing is the way that we do CVC is we typically don't lead around, we follow. So normally when there's a capital raise, there is a lead investor, so someone who says, I'm championing you and taking this to market, and I'm going to line up other people behind us so that we close the round. We normally follow someone else. So we follow Peter Thiel. We've made investments with him in the US. We've made investments with Sequoia, who's also one of the other leading funds. And through opening up those networks, we create more credibility as a CVC. But we find a good linkage between, we help influence the themes that they're looking at, the areas that they're willing to invest in. And then down the line, we can pitch. So Ask Mars, the autonomous vehicle startup that I was showcasing before that we've been working on, we had an inquiry yesterday from someone saying, can I put this in front of Sequoia and see if they would be willing to put money into this? That's how we would engage our CVC as a follower, because that helps give it enough credentialing with the market.
Oke, terjawab tadi Mbak Yanita. Oke, satu lagi, silakan.
Hi, I'm Restri from Jasa Marga. Well, actually, I'm not attending your presentation since beginning, but thankfully, I got the point of learning, and that's really interesting for me. And you emphasize that learning process is important to especially to make some innovations so that the business process is running. But my question is, how do you ensure that learning exchange process through your employee is running well, and the number of patients is how do you maintain and how do you manage the knowledge in your business? So thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Same question from knowledge management.
Okay, Matt, I wish you were up on stage right now. Matt runs Fusion Labs. Fusion Labs is an expert in innovation and how you create systems of innovation inside a corporate. So, do you want to actually answer the question, or yeah? Because come up
to the stage.
So, how do you ensure that the learnings that you create are good learnings, and those learnings are used inside the organization?
Yeah, I think that's always. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? All right, great. I think that's always the toughest trick, because in large, complex organizations, there's so much innovation and there's so many projects happening across the entire breadth of the organization, and there are these valuable experiments and learnings that are happening all over the place. And what I find in my experience working in, I've worked all over the world in big organizations, is that there's no central repository, there's no central library for all these learnings to come back in. So that if I wanted to start an idea tomorrow and it had already been tried in another part of the business, I would love to go and understand what worked, what didn't work, why didn't it work, and go and pick the brain of that person and understand where things went wrong, where they could have been improved. And it will either save me a hell of a lot of time in not duplicating that same idea, or it will give me a valuable lesson in order for me to pivot and go down a slightly different direction and hopefully solve it in that manner. Does that answer your question?
There's no silver bullet. It's
Yeah.
always hard work.
Thanks, Matt. We'll discuss after lunch with you again. So, yeah, the time is up. So, we cancel one of our plan to bring some of them upstage, but yeah, it's okay. We can do it after this.
Hello? Yeah. I'll be running around, so if anyone has more questions, please feel free to just come and have a chat. I promise I'm very approachable, and I promise I'm as interested to learn about what you're doing, because part of the reason I'm here is to understand if there is work that you are doing that we can be scaling into other markets. So that's what I'm looking for while I'm observing and sharing what I've learned.
Thanks, President Lynn. Jadi rekan-rekan yang hadir maupun Amoeba nanti bisa ketemu sama Lynn dan Matthew, bisa diskusi langsung. Mereka akan around until the end of the day ya. Jadi silahkan nanti Mbak juga bisa diskusi di bawah ya. Karena waktu sudah habis, untuk Lynn nanti jam 1.15 ya Mas Reza. 1.15 kita akan mulai diskusi dengan Matthew. Matthew adalah CEO dari Fusion Lab. Jadi kalau bahasa gampangnya, Matthew itu membantu korporasi bikin amoeba begini, bikin fireworks ya. You're helping corporates to build something like this ya. So kita bisa lihat belajar dari Matthew bagaimana Matthew melihat korporasi-korporasi lain itu membangun kapabilitas inovasinya, innovation capability development. So itu diskusi kita nanti jam 1:15 sampai sekitar jam 2:30. Jangan dilewatkan, don't miss it. Kita akan kumpul di sini, questions dan diskusi, mungkin discussions more dan lebih banyak. Itu saja, that's it. Terima kasih, kita applause dulu untuk Lynn Thompson dari Fireworks.
Because we want to take a group photos before you proceed to your seat.
Are we doing a selfie?